Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday night music show with Jay Brannan
What's up? How
in
are you?
beautiful, sunny Temecula, California. Is it sunny right now?
It's a little cool today, actually, in the 60s, but grateful for that.
I'll take 60s.
I will take 60s any day.
We also have our engineer here, our producer, Mr. Howie Darkstar in the shadows. He's going to keep us honest like he usually does. And I'm your host, Brian. How's it going?
What's up, Brian? How are you today?
I'm
What you
okay.
got going on in your neck of the woods? You got storms, warm weather. I see all this stuff all over the maps.
We're fine. We're fine.
Okay.
It's been a nice couple of days. We washed windows.
Good,
We're all
good.
good. You know what I was thinking about, Jay?
What's that, Brian?
Why do people become DJs? I mean, what is it that attracts people to this thing of ours?
You know, I think at the core, the majority of people I know have a love of music.
There's some people like that, but I
Yeah.
think there's a several reasons that people do this, and I actually made a list,
Oh,
and I just made this list before the show, so
okay.
I probably left some stuff out, and if I did, there are some people who I feel like get involved with this thing because of the social party atmosphere aspect of it. And they want to be part of it. They want to be a more intricate part of the party.
Yeah.
Got anything on that?
Oh, I thought you were going to like.
No, I'm telling you.
Sorry, I'm just like sitting here soaking it in.
There's a personality type that just kind of, they want to be, they want to help, be part of the party. They want to be kind of in the center of it. Maybe it's an attention thing,
Yeah.
but they like that part of it, you know?
I think you have to have a little bit of that, even though a lot of DJs we know are kind of extroverts, but I think a lot of them are introverts as well. But I think you need to have a sense of you. At some point, you have to want to be in front of a crowd. Whenever
Yeah.
I hear DJs talk about getting anxious in front of the crowd, I'm kind of like, you're in the wrong business.
Well, I mean,
But
I
I think it's an age thing too. I mean, I became a DJ when I was, over 30.
Mm-hmm.
You're 19, you're going to clubs, you're looking around. I can see that being very enticing. Whereas for me, it was like, I just want anything I can do that involves me being involved with music,
Right.
but also programming. So, yeah, I think a lot of us get into it for that reason. And I think it changes with age a little bit.
Well, I know, like back in the early days of me going out and clubbing, and even through my 20s, I just remember the DJ being almost hidden. They were in a booth that was 20 feet in the air. I was in that booth a couple times. Nobody knew what I looked like.
Nope.
I was just there, kind of a puppet master, being the life of the party kind of thing, or being the one kind of controlling things.
Yeah.
But it felt good to be a part of it. It felt good to be able to do something to contribute to that atmosphere.
Yeah. And I think it's based on even radio DJs. Most people have no clue what their favorite DJ
Right.
looked like. They
Yeah,
were
that's true.
box and they were, out of the realm of visual. So same with me. When I first started to go to clubs, DJ booths were in the darkest corner, up off the floor. Like,
Right.
You had no idea who the DJ was.
Sure. That was kind of nice. I miss those days.
It's that anonymity.
I
So
like
if you
it.
mess up, the crowd can't really turn on you.
Well, it's not even that. It's just I would rather the crowd be paying attention to each other than me.
That's a valid
I'm
point.
one guy playing tunes.
Well,
why don't you worry about the cool people over there, or meet these people over here and talk to that girl over there? I think that would be a more useful, a better use of your time at an event that I'm doing than staring at me, because I'm not that interesting.
But it's true today. I think you have the same perspective of the event's not about us when we're at an event.
Mm-hmm.
The success of it hasn't, even though it has a lot to do with us, it's not about us. It's
Right.
about our actions or our programming or reading, and
Sure,
that's a whole other topic. But it's not me jumping up and down and stealing attention that makes the event great, in my opinion. If anything, the quieter I am at an event, I think sometimes the more successful I am.
Well, on that note, I think another reason that people get into this might be because they feel like they have strong leadership skills, or they just have that type of personality where they feel like that they can, it's kind of a bit of the first part. They want to be the life of the party, but they're actually motivators, and they know how to get people excited about things, or they understand how to organize an event to make it successful.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it still comes down to the aspects of, okay, it still comes down to I think the music, because I know people that are amazing motivators.
So you're jumping ahead on me.
Oh, but it's difficult to answer the question. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying that there are people who do it for this reason.
Yes.
I'm just looking for reasons people do this. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not trying to critique him for doing it for the reason.
No, nor am I.
I'm simply just trying to point out, here are some reasons people start doing this thing that we do.
Okay, I see where you're going then. I'm trying to create baselines, so you're just literally giving like, I think people that are tall want to be a DJ. Well, not everyone's tall. Okay, I got you now.
Right, we're not all the same. We're
True.
all doing it for different
I think people drawn to being in front of big crowds that are motivators, or enjoy that would I could see them being drawn to this.
You know who I think about, like automatically? There's two people I think of who I feel like maybe got into this because they, wanted to exercise their leadership skills.
I bet I know one. Can I give initials? And if I'm right, you'll just say the name.
Yes.
SF.
Yes.
Okay. I knew SF.
Scott Favor.
Yes.
The other guy's Bill Herman.
I was going to say either Bill or Drax.
Yeah, maybe Drax. Drax used to do some real theatrical stuff too.
Right, but it's that in front of the crowd thing.
For those of you who don't know,
voice.
Drax used to like dress up like a spaceman guy.
Longer hair than mine.
And he almost looked like he could have been a member of Kiss or something.
Yeah, had a long to the floors, like silver metallic trench coat.
Right. Yeah, it was a character. He was
cool.
Putting on it was performance art. But yeah, Bill is a guy who really likes to, he loves to host events.
Yeah.
He likes to do anytime there's any kind of and Scott does too. Anytime there's any kind of convention, they are one of the key speakers.
Yeah.
At the convention, that if they'll jump in there and they'll do an hour, no problem.
Oh. And Scott's like that in emails he sends out. Like his emails read like him in person.
Right.
And I met him years, like probably 10, 15 years ago at a wedding. He was doing a site inspection. I went up and I said, "Hey, Scott, how you doing? My name is Jay. We've met a couple times at like Expo or Mobile Beat or whatever." And I'm trying to remember, he made the greatest comment and he didn't know who I was. And he said something to the effect of like, "You know what? I'm sorry I don't remember you, but I won't let that happen again." It was something like that.
Right.
And it's like Big Daddy, like Sean, Big Daddy McGee. I mean, every time I see these guys, they go out of their way to be gracious and nice. So I think that's a full-time job that they do, and the way they do it.
It gets weird with, these shows and things. It's more than the average DJ has to really deal with. I mean, you deal with it, I deal with it.
Right.
Scott deals with it. We meet a lot of people, and I tell people straight out, look, it's nothing against you. I can't. So help me out. And I remember now. So, and I think most people are pretty forgiving with that. But
I tell people up front, if I don't remember you, I apologize. But I promise, if you buy me a drink at some point, I will never forget you.
Right? So, bring me coffee, something.
No, I'm talking alcohol.
Now, you would definitely know this next group I'm going to talk about. You would know them well, and I think you probably deal with them on a daily. And that would be those who are into the equipment. Yeah. The gearheads. And they're also, I think in the same breath, you could also mention people who are into the technical aspect of things.
Oh, yeah. The guys that eventually want to do production or remixing, and they see it differently. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the many facets that I think all of us at some point have to become a little gear driven.
Yeah.
But there are definitely people I know that are like head down.
That's their bag.
It's gear.
Yeah.
That's like there's nothing else going on around them.
There's a group of DJs on Facebook that's really all they talk about is what's new.
Yeah.
The new
Well, they're
controller.
fascinated by that stuff.
Yeah, they really
I
like it.
we both like cars. We both had a bunch of cars. We're both into cars. You're more on the fixing side and working side than I am. But I just noticed, again, age carries so much of what changes. But even the gearheads, as they get older, they don't seem to waver much. Like as I get a little bit older, I'm less driven by, oh, I got to have this car. I got to have this stereo. They don't seem to stop. I know guys that are been around forever, and they're still like, oh, I got to need this newest thing. I'm like, why? Well, because it's the newest thing.
Well, the weird part for me is, I mean, you mentioned cars, and it's exactly the same way that I feel about DJing. Yeah, can I do some stuff on a car that people will probably be surprised that I know how to do? Yeah. I'm becoming pretty knowledgeable with old Fords right now. Then I never thought I would have that kind of knowledge. But you gotta understand, I do most of this out of necessity. I'd rather not. I'd rather be able to just get in the car and drive it and enjoy it and not work on it. But I know that able for me to get into the car and enjoy it, I need to work on it so I can drive it.
Sure.
So I sometimes it's fun to wrench on cars. Sometimes it's fun to be in the garage. I do enjoy that aspect of it, but not as much as I do driving the car.
Right.
I think that's, how I am with gear too. I learned what I need to learn about the equipment to do what I need to do. And the same with, a computer program or a DMX program or anything like that. But I really just want to be an end user. That's what I really want to be,
Well, you know what?
Some people love that aspect of it. They want to work
but it's
on
hard to tinker. You rarely will go up to somebody that has the same mixer or controller as you and have them say, look what I did to mine. They may have skinned it, but I rarely get the guy that's like, I took it apart and did this. I think once in my career, I had to take a CM100 Newmark 4-channel mixer that a girl spilt a Coke into. And after the gig, unplugged it immediately. After the gig, took it home, took the cover off, and went in with like Q-tips and rubbing alcohol. And I mean, that mixer was working 5 years later when I quit the company. Well, so that was like my one wrenching experience, or I think I put a rotary kit on a mixer.
Right.
But I think it's the spirit of having new gear.
It's like a stereo. It's like a custom home stereo build back in the old days.
Yeah. Whenever something new came out, they had to upgrade to that.
Maybe it's a tape deck you added, or, some people won't ever need a match, but most of the cool guys who were audiophiles back then that I remember, that I knew, they built their own stuff. They had a TAC this and a Harman Kardon that, and a Pioneer this and a Kenwood that. It's just how it worked.
100%.
But, some people really, really like that aspect of it. And
I think there's that same pride. Like, look at my DJ setup and look at my home stereo setup when you walk in, and they're like so happy to show it to you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that one. It's a good call.
How about those who, and we talked about this a little bit with Drax. How about artistic expression? Those who love to mix tracks, those who love to put on a real performance and just have fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know with me, and I think a lot of other people, there's usually somewhere in the history, a lot of times with those people, there's probably a former band guy or girl who suddenly realizes, wait a second, I maybe can't play with the Rolling Stones on stage, but I can play the Rolling Stones on stage.
Right.
And now you get to have that. And let's face it, we've both had what I call the DJ high, which is when it's all going really well.
Yeah.
And you suddenly, if you were on video, you'd be like, was that Tiesto? Why is that guy jumping up and down and doing all this stuff? Wait, that's me? Versus the scared, like sweating, like, uh-oh, what track am I going to play coming out of this Huey Lewis and the News Power of Love song? Right. But when it goes really well, there's an amazing feeling that you're on stage. And I refer to my events as gigs. And I always say, I'm only as good as my last gig. I think that's the bar I've always set for myself. And I think performers look at it that way. I said to someone, which I took from you, they said something about eating at the wedding. I'm like, you know what? I just don't eat at my events any more than Elton John is in the middle of the show going to go, I'm having a Reuben. If you guys want to just chill out, maybe go to the bathroom, get a beer, I'm going to go backstage and have a sandwich. It's not that I'm the same, but there is that sense of performance.
Yeah. No, it's definitely there. I see a lot of people who are doing some pretty amazing things with, and this could be like the artistic expression could be even like lighting design.
Oh yeah.
It could be your programming. It could be just your set design. I've seen, and it's kind of is part of the gear thing too, because, you know, I'm thinking about even simple things, what I would consider a relatively simple low tech thing, like customizing a pro event table. There was a lot of that a couple years ago. People are still doing it, and they're making them their own. I don't think I've seen two identical pro event tables. Have you?
No, it's that individuality.
Yeah. It's
and that's what a performer is. They need to be individual and true to themselves to be a performer.
But they have fun doing it.
They have a blast doing it.
Yeah.
But that used to be fun back in the day, taking lights and pointing them at the wall and switching gears on stuff that nobody expected you to have a vertigo on the ground, one on each side of you, and you turn them on and they're all looking at you like, what's going on? And it's
that's a look I've never seen before.
I'm bathed in light.
Right.
And in your brain, you're in Madison Square Garden on, the stage. In reality, you've got 20 people in front of you at a gig somewhere.
But it can be just a simple little light. For me, it's never been about having this super high tech thing. It was being creative enough with what you had to make it look as impressive as you could.
I have seen the best lights anyone has ever owned at every nightclub and bar, expo, NAMM show. I've seen moving heads that are bigger than me. And still, when people say to me, amazing light shows, I go back to a Wednesday night in like 1996, and a guy had just gotten 4 sparklers. And he programmed them to an Alice in Chains song, and it was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And there were 4 little white lights that just turned slowly. But he was turning them on and off in a pattern.
Yeah.
It was all on a light touch board. It was just amazing because it was genuinely... nobody thought these lights will do this, And I think that's when that's the creative juice. Like, here you go. Here's a stick, a piece of paper, and a pen. Go do something. And they come back with a car. It's like, whoa.
When light controllers used to be just kind of on-off power switches is all they really were.
Yeah.
I used to play my light controller like a piano.
Yeah, so did I.
Songs. Between songs, I would just... I would play the thing. It was on a rack, so I was kind of doing this, underneath my CD players, and it looked really cool.
Yeah, 100%.
It would be hard to and you did it by feel. You knew what did what, and it was tons of fun. It would be very difficult to DMX, especially for every song. And you also kind of want to watch what your audience is doing and how they're feeling about things, and when you want to turn this on and when you don't want to do it. But yeah. That was it was a really fun thing to do. And I know there were certain songs that I really enjoyed, playing the light piano to is what I called it. Then, DMX all kind of went away. We couldn't do it quite like that anymore. Not that easily. But.
No, but the year we launched Record Box Lighting, we had pad mode. So everyone that came through to see the lights, when I would show them, I would be taking whatever song was playing, and I'm over here doing exactly that on the pads.
Right.
Blackout, strobe, blue, red, blue, yellow, blue.
Old days.
And it was so much fun, but I 100% agree. At a gig, you just can't do that for every song.
Right.
Because it would just get wearing.
You do it when the big song comes on.
Right. Or the big break where you can black out and everyone screams, and then you come back with whatever.
It's hard to know what they're really going to respond well to, so you can't even plan it ahead. It's like, okay, they really like this song, so let's make it happen here.
Yeah.
It feels right. We're almost at a peak, so we do it.
Yeah. That's why big clubs have lighting designers. Somebody working that board, not just the DJ doing it.
So let's go back. I say go back because it was brought up a couple times before, and I was dying to bring it up too.
Yeah.
But some DJs get into this because they just love music.
100%. That's what got me into it.
Now, you said that most DJs you knew got into it because they love music.
Yeah.
I would say that would be the opposite for me.
in my
Most
spectrum.
DJs that I know got into it for some other reason. It was not the music.
Well, like I said, I got into this in a different method. I was already working in a club and, was fascinated with the DJ and their control of the room, and they're on the mic and they're playing music and it's loud and they're playing great songs. And we had a Ramza system throughout the club. So it was very good sound. And I just was so drawn to that. And my very first gig came because the DJ didn't show up.
Right.
And they left their CDs.
Me too.
And I was the bartender. And it was such a dead day that I could run back and forth. And I gladly did it. And they're like, do you want to work a Saturday? And yes. But my goal was to play the music I loved and hear it really loud.
Right. He was having fun.
That was enough to start with.
Right.
And it was, there's a lot, every DJ that's going to see this, watch this, hear this, there's an immense amount of power when you reach down and hit that button. And just like you'll see on Facebook, someone will put up a picture of a huge wall of sound, of speakers. And it's like, what song would be your first song to play?
Right. I've seen that.
And it's never a quick answer. No. It's always like, Judas Priest, hell yeah, Electric Eye. No, wait. Rolling Stones, no, wait. The Who, Eminence,
no. It's Aldo Noah's Fantasy with the intro.
That, you know what? Dun.
Oh, it's all the stuff that happens before.
Oh, you wouldn't cut that like weird.
No,
like
I would
science,
because then it would be kind of coming in slowly and.
You could go the same way with Steve Miller, Jungle Love, where you have that intro part, and then it's like.
Oh, I can't never hear that whistle again, ever.
Well,
he's a local too, and I still.
Pop, 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 pop. He's amazing. He is amazing guy. But yeah, I think, I've had this talk with DJs at different shows, and it's like, yeah, but you love music. And I'm always shocked. There's a few that I'm friends with that are like, no, I don't. I'm like, what? No, not really. It's not about, I'm getting paid. Yeah. I'm good on the mic. I like people. It's okay. I don't love music. Like, I don't deal with it when I'm not DJing. I'm like, so it's not a 24-hour day, like, love affair. It's like, no. I'm like, how? So, I think we go into different groups that way.
Right. And that's something that I wanted to kind of touch on too. We talked about, I don't know, 5 or 6 different reasons people might get into this. I mean, the other one that I don't really think it's worth talking about too much is the money, because some do it for the money.
Yeah.
And I really did want to dedicate too much time to that. But I don't think that most do it for one reason or the other. I think it's a combination.
Yeah, I would agree with
everything
that.
We've talked about.
But I think you learn things about yourself that you may not have known.
Oh, true.
This will shock the audience. And this will probably get picked up and go viral, just this one clip. If I see this tomorrow on CNN, I won't be surprised. Before I was a DJ, I was not a quiet person.
Wow, really?
Yeah. That's the soundbite that will break the internet tomorrow.
Yes.
So suddenly when I had a mic in my hand and there was a crowd, it didn't seem any different. And I kind of feel that way now. Like, you do shows, I do shows. The largest group of people I've stood on stage in front of and spoken was a little over 1,900 people in Vegas at an EDM seminar, EDM biz seminar. And afterwards, somebody said to me that was outside of the room from the same company that I was working with, they're like, oh my God, were you like scared S-less? I'm like, of what? First off, you only see X number of rows. And what are they going to do? They're watching
That's the
me.
thing I never understood. What are they going to do to you?
Yeah, but they're watching me. I'm not watching them. Like,
Right.
I don't care what they're doing. They only
I've
care
got
what
the mic. I
I'm
don't
doing.
care.
Yeah. Like, it's not a big deal. I know more people are afraid of public speaking than flying. I deal with this at every wedding and every event where people freak over the toast. I'm like, dude, there's 45 people here. You know most of them. You're related to most of them. Like, how is that a thing? It's like, well, you're talking to them. I'm like, dude, I'll talk to anybody. I don't care.
That that is probably another thing that we didn't talk about is having the ability to do public speaking without this fear attached to it. We kind of did with the leadership personality thing, but that's a big deal because I don't think it's as big of a deal as it used to be because everybody has a lot of self-esteem now because they're raised that way. But our generation, we weren't raised that way.
We didn't have facades. Like the DJs now are covered up like a drummer.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, there's so much going on around them. And let's be honest, when you're speaking on a blank stage, when you see like comedians, blank stage, that's really focused on them. If you're on a stage with like 5 totems and movers and fog, and if there's a lot of distractions, there's almost a way for you to hide into it a little bit. Like you're kind of moving in and out of the realm. It's just you in the middle. I'm good with it. I'm fine doing it. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of us are that way, but I've also watched guys that I think are amazing DJs. Don't give them a mic. And they're the first to say to you, I will not get on that mic. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, I can't talk on the mic. I'm like, you're an amazing DJ. You should be out doing this, this, and that. It's like, nope. I'm good with this.
Well, so we all have, our strengths and weaknesses.
But I think becoming a DJ sort of defines those. I think you learn very quickly, like, I'm no good with a crossfader. I learned to mix with channels, not with a crossfader. So I practice it sometimes at home, and I suck at it. All of a sudden, I'm like, why can't I hear the next song? Oh, sorry. So everyone has their weakness and their strength.
Right.
And I think the best thing a DJ can do is always capitalize on their strength. And work on their weakness, but just capitalize on the strength.
There's something I was talking about with John a couple weeks ago. We touched on a show. I don't even remember what the show was about, but we didn't really expand on it. It was something that came up towards the end of the show. And it was the idea that I think some people who become DJs did it because they saw another DJ and looked at what they were doing and said something like, I think I can do that. The story that you hear a lot is they saw a DJ they didn't like and they said, well, I could do a better job than that.
I think it diminishes the artistry of it.
Well,
I think it gets, I've talked to people that have been a DJ for like 2 years and they're complaining about their pay. And I'm kind of like, dude, you haven't paid any dues.
Well, what I said to that was, I do believe there are DJs out there. I call them Me Too DJs, where they look at this and they say, I think I can do that too.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of DJs out there, and you can tell who they are, whether they're new or they've been at it for a while, who didn't do that. What they did is they saw different DJs performing and they thought to themselves, I think I have something to offer this thing, this DJ thing. I think I have something fresh and unique to offer that I would like to try.
Different perspective.
And I think that's a neat way to decide that this is what you want to do.
I totally agree. I think the only area that I get upset about, like I said, and when I started, I got the turntable guys going, oh, cool, he's got CDs, he's not a real DJ, And I occasionally jump on that bandwagon of like, oh, everyone's a DJ till you put these in front of them. Get rid of the laptops and, all that. But I think regardless, always understand that some of us are so passionate about this, much like any form of art. I might look at a painter and say, I could do that. That's fine, but keep that to yourself. Don't say that to the artist. Let him do his craft and be in love with it. Don't diminish or disrespect that.
I think that's fair.
I feel the same way about DJs when they come up with that. I've been a DJ for a year and I'm charging more than you. It's like, okay, great. So you've managed to sell yourself well, but you don't know what I know. So don't disrespect the artistry of it. You know,
Sure.
just understand you're in a field that has no licensing, no critical, methodology or standards. And anybody can go out and say, hey, I'm a DJ.
Anybody can call themselves a social media influencer, or anybody
Well,
can
but
start a
even with
YouTube
that, you've got to at
channel.
least
It's
have a
just,
number, right?
yeah.
Don't I've got 1 million followers on Instagram. I'm a social media. And, okay. I
You can
see
start
where
a
you're
well.
coming
Let
from.
me put it another way. Anybody can start a YouTube channel. Anybody can open an Instagram account or a Twitter account.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal. But really, I wanted to tell you why I DJ, and if I could give you the shortest answer to that question, and an honest short answer to that question, it is simply this. I I need to word this the right way because I don't want to sound like I'm putting myself down, because I'm not doing that. I don't do anything else better than this. This is what I do best. And it's not to say that I'm the best. It's that to say, out of my collective skill set as a human being,
Right.
this thing right here is what I do better than any of the other things.
Right.
That's why I do it. I don't do
Yeah.
it because, you know what, I'm really good at math and I could have been an accountant, but I just think it would be fun to go DJ instead. No, if I could be an accountant, believe me, I would be an accountant. I think it's cool when people do the thing that they're best at. When they're talking about career, if they're talking about a hobby, that's different.
Right.
I'm not the best mechanic. I work on a car. That's different.
Right.
But when it really comes to, your main thing, your career, your bread and butter, your livelihood, what you're best at, I think is a good route to go. What you love too. And if you love what you're good at, bonus,
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, if I hit the lottery tonight for $400 million,
Yeah.
I wouldn't quit DJing. If I hit the lottery for $400 million and had other jobs that paid money, I would quit them.
Yeah.
Because to me, I don't really, this is my job. It's my livelihood. It's what I do to feed my family and pay the
Right.
bills and all that. But DJing has afforded me the ability to take everything that I am inside passionately, which is a love of music, and get to be somewhere getting paid to hit play and hear a song that brings me back to when I was 15, hanging out with Rip Cale in Concord, listening to Double Vision by Foreigner, and I'm that 15-year-old kid all over again.
Yeah.
Just for 3 minutes and 28 seconds. The fact that anything can do that to you that isn't an actual drug, that isn't going to kill you, hurt you, or ruin your life, and you could get paid.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the greatest career moves. I would cut back on DJing if Aerosmith invited me to join them. And if I was in a big band.
And in all fairness, you wouldn't feel obligated to do all these events.
But I would do things like this.
Yeah.
People probably saw it. There was an article in the Washington Post. There was an article in the New York Times. John Young has not been around lately because he and I have been negotiating. My lawyer from Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. We just signed our new contract. It's $75,000 an episode, so I'm okay. Yeah, but I would still continue to do things like this. I love music. And what I love about music the most is being able to tell somebody how much I love it. The interaction of you and I talking about bands. You and I have split through 3-hour phone calls and probably mentioned 3 songs.
Yeah, yeah.
And you suddenly are like, what? The only thing that I know of that can do that is drugs. And they're probably not safe at 1 a.m. in a car. But I can put a song on and just be transported to the kind of joy and love and happiness like that. I don't know of anything greater than music.
I love talking about it with people. The thing I have a hard time with is finding somebody who I can talk music with. Because I'm a little weird about it. I mean, I go a little deep, I guess, and to find somebody who speaks my language is tough.
We had rest in peace, Mark. We had our friend.
Yeah.
We met our match. He ran circles around me, Mark Mosley, and I spent 3-4 hours with him in the garage talking on the phone, and he never let up once. I've never seen any. I'm like, Brian's the Yoda of music.
No
disrespect, my friend.
No,
this kid was just film.
Oh yeah,
it was
absolutely amazing.
But the beauty of music, even if you don't know more than just what you know, and all you know is your lane, and all you know is your genre and your year and your song, that's enough for me. If you can talk to me passionately about, a bluegrass band that played at the Lynchburg, Tennessee Cafe, and they're the greatest thing you've ever seen, and you sit there every Saturday and drink coffee for 2 hours and watch them, then we're simpatico. We're buds. We're good. That's all I need.
I've done a lot of that in my life where I've had to kind of, I call it bend to somebody else's will for personality.
But it's learning.
I've got to find their lane and go in it. It's rare that somebody jumps into my lane and join me. There was a guy who I went to elementary school with, known him since I was about 8. And he's a Facebook friend of mine. I haven't seen him for 40 years, but he's a big music geek. Like he's more of a rocker, but he does do some other stuff. But he's focused primarily, he's rock and roll.
Right.
And he's also a very highly opinionated guy.
What's that like?
I don't know. But he's made no secret that he takes issue with Peter Cetera from Chicago.
Why?
Well, exactly. And I have to get into my head. He loves Chicago, loves Terry Kath, Robert Lamb, the whole bit.
You just can't embrace Peter?
He just has a hard time with Peter.
Peter's got a great voice.
You know why a lot of people have a hard time with Peter? I know why. I understand it.
Because he replaced Terry as the singer?
No, they always switch back and forth.
Right.
The reason people have a problem with Peter Cetera, and I knew this, and I've explained this to him over and over and over again, over several years on Facebook, because he brings it up once in a while. He always talking about music. But once in a while, he'll have some Peter Cetera hate. And the other day, in one of his, and we don't talk a lot, but I will comment on his things. I'm like, look, I know a lot of people don't want to forgive Peter Cetera for the whole David Foster thing with Chicago 16 and Chicago 17. The Glory of Love. Next Time I Fall, or all the mom rock stuff he did.
They were
but
still good songs.
This guy was amazing before that. He had paid his dues. Feeling stronger every day. An amazing bass player.
Really good bass player. All that 70s stuff.
Yeah.
You could shut Chicago off in 1980.
Yeah. And it would have been fine.
And the worst you could argue is, I didn't like If You Leave Me Now. It's like, what are you kidding me? You break up with somebody and listen to that?
You could have shut it off then. But Peter, and they were ready to shut it off. And Peter's like, all right, I guess let me do this group therapy session with everybody. Let's try to do some music together.
Yeah.
Chicago 15 did nothing. The label was ready to drop them. They brought in David Foster, and they exploded with 16 and 17. Then the band got jealous because of MTV, and Peter's face is in the front, and he wanted to do a solo album, and they said, do that, and we'll find a new bass player. He said, fine, bye. But, Peter was there to save the band. But regardless, the reason I bring this up is because I've just made these comments. Haven't had a deep conversation with him about it, but I've made comments. And the other day, he turned around. He's like, you know what? I was wrong. I've been hard on Peter Cetera. This guy is an amazing bass player. This guy has an amazing catalog. And I apologize for that. Then today, he put another post up and said, I never said anything bad about Peter Cetera. What are you talking about? Not me. It was somebody else. Peter's amazing.
Yeah.
Like he had a Peter Cetera epiphany. Those are the kind of weird conversations I like to have with people.
Well, it's like when bands
have them with everybody.
No, it's like when bands get big and people turn on them. Like
Yeah.
they want them to be the band they saw with 300 people in a club. I think, and we may be the last generation of this. I hope we're not. But I've got a ton of stories of being in small clubs and medium theaters and big venues of bands doing things off the cuff, not planned, one time only. Check it out. No one else is going to know this. And it's like a card catalog of joy. And I think nowadays, the 20 something DJs that don't have that lust to go to shows unless it's like a festival, they don't have that when they're they don't think that way when they're programming. They don't think in relationship to, oh, you know why this would work so well? Because of this. They just go off of a little bit more black and white criteria. And that's fine. And it works very well. I'm not slamming anyone for it. But, you know, if you love cooking, be a chef. If you love music, join a band. And if that's not realistic, be a DJ. Be able to go out there and do stuff. That's why I love Twitch. I could sit back right now, get done with this show, jump on the decks, open OBS, click start streaming, and do whatever I want to express how I feel at the moment and try to expose people to music that I think is worth hearing that they may never have heard.
It's about perspective.
It's totally about perspective, but there's enough room in the pool for all of us.
Yes.
And I don't need us to get involved in synchronized dance or swim, but it would be great if we could float from the deep end to the shallow end and not have anybody that wanted to knock the drink out of our hands.
I don't know. I haven't gotten any pushback from anybody. Really, I haven't.
I really haven't either, but I still view it from a position of why can't we all just get along sometimes? Like
I think we do get along for the most part. And
I do too, but you know, don't be so inclusive.
You know, that's something I didn't put on my list here, but that's definitely a thing. There's a personality type that's attracted to this business. It's definitely a personality type. There are several personality types, but and I think that sometimes, unfortunately, people like you and me confuse passion, like deep passion, for like almost what word do I want to use? Almost like an adversary. It's like the people are so into whatever they're into, be it gear, be it the performance or whatever, that if anybody else is into anything else, they can't even comprehend that would even be important. It's only about what they're into.
Right.
And I have caught myself doing it too, as somebody who I feel like does it for music.
Right.
Where I'll say, how can you possibly be a DJ if this isn't something you enjoy? But then the reply to that, and it's completely legitimate, is, hey, look, I enjoy these aspects of it. I like the part of organizing things. I like performing. I like being, artistic with the lights and whatever. I love the equipment. There's that argument too. So I try not to do absolutes on that. I try to be fair. I really try. I try to be fair.
It's everybody's a little bit different. I have no issue with being a little more David Lee Roth, because to me, David Lee Roth on stage is genuinely David Lee Roth off stage. Like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And you and I know some David Lee Roth DJs who off stage are like quiet, shy, and timid.
Mm-hmm.
You go up to him and you're like, dude, like wake up. It's like, yeah, I'm really not, I'm just kind of mellow and quiet. It's like, yeah, but I just saw this video, or I just saw you on stage, or I just saw a wedding video, and like you're all over the place. Well, that's different. So I think it allows for people, even if you don't think you fit into that, if you think, well, I'm just kind of quiet and shy, but if you have that, exhibitionist type thing in you sometimes, that goes a long way with what we do.
I believe, and it's interesting you bring this up, because I just thought of this. I know DJs you're talking about. I know the DJs you're talking about.
You know exactly who I'm talking about.
And I will tell you that DJs who exhibit this type of almost split personality all have something in common. They're all under 40.
They're all under like 27.
Well, whatever. My point being is, I think
what's the new gen?
I think they really are more like that person on stage than they are that shy, reserved person.
Yeah,
they're not comfortable enough with being that person in real life yet. So it's almost the same reason that we do goofy ambient lights on dance floors to take people out of reality so they go out and make fools of themselves and dance where they wouldn't normally do it. Maybe it's the same thing that these DJs, personality-wise, are doing on stage.
Could very well be.
They're letting their fear and their inhibitions go to be more like themselves. And yeah, they might go over the top with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, even when I was young, Jay, I know when I was young that there were times where I was more outrageous on stage than I would be in real life. But the older DJs that I know, and myself included, I am who I am on the microphone at an event.
Yeah.
It's me. Yeah, I'm awake and I'm ready to go. But every older DJ that I know, and I'm thinking of people with personalities.
Yeah.
Like Richard Blade.
Oh,
or
24/7.
Or Sparky B. Sparky B and Richard Blade are both Sparky B and Richard Blade on and off stage. It doesn't change one bit.
I'll give you a big name, Fatboy Slim. I've met him off stage. It's Fatboy Slim.
Yeah.
Like the only difference was he wasn't standing in front of his setup.
Really?
Like he's still that super cool guy and he's talkative and friendly. And then you see him on stage. I mean, he doesn't do cartwheels and go crazy, but he's very into what he's doing on stage.
Right.
Cascade is a smiley, happy, friendly guy. Then you see him on stage and he's a smiley, happy, friendly guy. I think a lot of those guys, I've met famous rock stars and some of them, they're so like, I don't know if they're high or if they're just over it or what their problem is, but it's like, in 10 minutes, you're going to be up there entertaining 20,000 people and you can't crack a smile for 4 of us.
Right.
Like, you realize the reason you have that limo and the 2 security guards is because I bought the album, the T-shirt, the ticket. Like,
there's a comfort level there, and it's a performance thing. I don't know. That's an interesting.
I love the recognition. I love the, hey man, I saw your video and I tried it and made a difference. Thank you. No issue with that. I've signed one autograph at one show. At one show, someone came up and said, hey man, can I get an autograph? And I literally was like, for what? He's like,
what's going on here? Yeah.
And I was with Pulse, and he had Pulse, and I signed his shirt.
Oh wow!
I swear to you, it happened in an expo. We were at the Atlantic City Diner, which has been gone for 10 years, so it shows you how long ago it happened. But it was one of those moments of, and I looked at Pulse and I go, this may never happen again, and it hasn't. It hasn't.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it. And he just looks at me, and goes, dude, somebody asked for our autographs. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we did something positive in their life. Yeah. That's the highlight. The highlight wasn't the autograph. The highlight was they were so happy with something we had done for them to make their life better. That to me is, and that's the luck that you and I have because of our industry status. I'm very proud of, I've never been to a show and had anyone come up and be like, you're that a-hole that I've talked to and you didn't do anything for me. It's like, no, dude, what do you want? Any question you got? I'll show you. I'll give you guys the password to Facebook. Go to my messages, see what they are. They're not like, hey, do you want to check out my photos? Click here. They're like, hey, I have an SX3 and I can't figure this out. And I'm like, damn, hold on.
I do have a sense of pride in, really. And if I think about it, and I didn't think about it until just now, the reason I started YouTube wasn't because I saw somebody's YouTube video and said, I can do that. The reason I started YouTube was because, and doing videos, really, in essence, was that I really felt like I had something to offer that was unique.
Yeah.
I had ideas. And they're not all good ideas, but they're unique. I thought they were unique ideas.
You said to me when I said I wanted to start, if you figure out what you're doing, and I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, are you there to help people? Are you there to talk to people? I'm like, well, I think I have enough information I could help people. Then help people, but just do that. Be who you are, but help people.
Yeah, be the helpful guy.
Yeah, just like, and out of 550 videos, I mean, you have 5,000. Mine, there's a few rants, there's a few self-indulgent, but 99% of the content I try to put up is to help somebody do something, and I took that 100% from you. I haven't changed the driver on a JBL speaker with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth yet.
Not yet.
We all have goals and dreams.
We all have goals and dreams, yes we do.
By the way, if you haven't seen Brian S. Red do that, one of the first videos I saw of him was in a cold Milwaukee day in a driveway, changing the driver out of his speaker with a cigarette hanging in his mouth. I'm like, all right, I like this guy. I'm going to watch another video.
I was not putting on a performance, though. I mean, that's the thing I try to tell people. It was like,
no, you were not.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I'm not changing what I'm doing because you're watching. I'm just doing it and letting you watch.
Who wants to see me grill salmon in the snow?
Yeah, well,
that video was cool too.
Pretty soon. It's getting that weird out there. But no. Thanks for coming on tonight and hanging out with me, Jay.
Let us know if you had to describe yourself as a DJ, not style, not music, but let us know in like a comment. Just go in and say extrovert personality, passionate about music, couldn't find another job.
Could be a combination of all of those things.
Yeah, but then do it in an order. If you described yourself of why you're a DJ, and don't make it, because I had an opportunity. But if that's it, I guess if you had an opportunity to be a DJ, then put that. But
yeah,
I'm just curious what people are going to say. If what the overriding number one, thing in common we all have. If it's the music, if it's the performance, if it's the gear, what it is. I'll be interested to see what people say.
I mean, Dran already had a bass player, so there really wasn't anywhere else to go.
Yeah, Joe Perry was coming back in the band, and that was just not going to happen. So I'm like, well,
I guess I'll be a DJ. I'm second on my list.
Yeah. There's always going to be that, and it's amazing when you talk to DJs how many of us come up with this, like, oh, I play guitar, I play drums, I play bass, I play keyboard, I've done this, I've done this. I mean, there are guys in Phoenix that we know, who's it? Curtis Whipple. I mean, crazy musician, amazing DJ. Like he lives in both worlds, and does both very well. But I think DJ became that secondary. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but, I think there's a lot of those stories.
Sure.
Well,
everybody's got their own, but yeah, I'm curious. What's yours? Let us know below. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. And I'm sure John does too. John,
like I said, my lawyers from Dewey, Cheatham and Howe have been grilling him for days to get this contract signed. So hopefully he'll be back soon. He's probably needs some mental health time off.
Thanks, Howie, the producer. Thank you,
Howie.
We'll see you next week.